So welcome to Freestyle Conditioning, and today we're using the large foam roller. We're going to be on the floor the whole time, which is why you couldn't quite see with my head as I was standing then. So come down to your roller, if you've got one. You can probably do most of the work with a smaller roller, as in this diameter, but you're going to be much more comfortable on the larger one. So if you haven't got one today, don't worry, I will leave the class up on YouTube for you to watch at another time. So we're going to start lying lengthwise along our spine. So getting onto it first of all is possibly the one of the most awkward things. So just sit yourself right at the end, one end, and then you're just going to have your feet nice and wide and lie yourself back down carefully. So that's possibly a little bit uncomfortable just sitting right up on your sit bones, but reach your hands back and then sort of take a bit of a spine curl down. And so the most important thing is to make sure that your spine is really on the roller. And I haven't got my hips far enough forwards because as I've laid down, I've got my head hanging off the top. So I'm just actually going to sit myself up again. And in fact, let's do that a couple of times. So sit all the way forwards. So your pubic bone and sacrum is right on the very end. Take your hands behind you, go through the fingertips and then round the spine like you're doing a roll down, and just see if you can make contact with every single vertebrae. Oh, and then all the way down, and then coming back up again, lift the head up, round the spine, use your arms to push you. So I'm not really looking for you to be doing a great big strength movement, using all your muscles. It's more just getting that spine a little bit mobilised, but also really finding where the roller, when the roller is really in the centre. So even now I'm going to move down a tiny little bit more. So the back of your head right in the middle of the roller. The roller is quite wide, so feel like it's your spine is equal either side of it. Feet and knees maybe slightly wider than hip width apart, just wherever you're comfortable, and allow your shoulders to open, allow your hands to be relaxed. And we're just going to start to just turn the head from side to side. So just allowing the back of your head and neck, and all of this actually can be done on the floor without using the roller. You just won't get the same sort of sensations that we're getting. So this is a valid thing to do. In your base position, just roll your head from side to side. Feels quite nice. And then just gently, imagine the curve of your roller. Imagine you're on a hammock, and you're just going to let your head roll to one side and your hips roll gently just over that curve to the other side, to the opposite direction. So I'm taking my knees and my hips together, but I'm not really thinking of it. It's not a great big movement, it's really quite subtle. Head and hips sort of rotating in opposite directions around your spine, using the roller for that. Great. And then just have a little think about and a notice and a feel how much of your spine is in contact with the roller. So it should be the same as if you're lying on the floor. So you should still have that good lumbar curve position if you've got a big curve like I have. So you can lift your head up and have a little look. Your pubic bone, hip bones should still be in a neutral position, level with each other, parallel to the floor. All of my ribs, just above my waistband, about here is where the ribs start to be in contact, so that's good. Ribs at the front are soft and relaxed and drawn down. I'm tucking my chin in, lengthening the back of the neck, but there's still the nape of the neck curve, perfectly natural. Okay, so let's just reach the arms up to the ceiling, so palms facing each other. We're just going to take a rounding of those arms, not a rounding of the arms, sorry, a rounding of the shoulders, the shoulder tips, the collarbone. So the shoulder blades are lifting up round the back of the rib cage wall, and then you're just going to let the arms and the shoulders drop down. So it's called like a shoulder drop. And you're sort of wanting your shoulder blades to feel like they're slapping against the roller. So the arms stay straight but quite relaxed. And then we're there. So sort of finding the position, the neutral position if you like. Let's pop the hands on the shoulders. Let's take some circles with the elbows. So the beauty of being suspended off of the floor by lying on the roller is you've got all this lovely space behind you. Not behind you, well behind your back, where those elbows can go even further back, and you should be getting really nice stretch out of the front of the chest. So this is going backwards as we normally would do. Let's change direction. And feel as you do this, the muscles around between your shoulder blades, either side of the spine, because of the movement in the arms, they're getting this lovely massage. So one of the benefits of working on the foam roller, so we're using it for stability and balance for the moment, to try and make it a little bit harder, make those stabilising muscles work harder, but also we use it for like a deep tissue massage, which is really nice. So let's pop the hands down onto the floor and just be relaxed. Just notice if you let your elbows soften, are they both touching the floor, or is one slightly higher than the other? So where my right shoulder is a little bit tighter, that elbow tends to be just slightly lifted off. I want to relax it down so that they're even. If you can get your elbows to actually touch the floor, perfect. Let's bring our attention to the pelvis. I'm going to bring my legs in a little bit, and we're going to take a knee fold, one at a time, lifting the leg. And you might find initially that this is quite challenging, because suddenly you're asking your pelvis to stabilise on that really weird uneven surface of the curve of the roller, and it might wobble from side to side a little bit, and that's absolutely fine. So the idea here is to push down through the foot that stays on the floor to keep your pelvis absolutely still. You can have your elbows touching the floor, and just if your fingertips can touch your hips, even better, although you might find that that's harder because you really are relying on your pelvis to do the stabilising now. If your hands are flat and you take them nice and wide, you'll be able to help yourself stabilise by having those arms nice and wide and pushing down into the floor a little bit. So work wherever you are today, it's absolutely fine. Ultimately, we could be doing this with the arms up to the ceiling, and as you can see, that's really quite wobbly for me. But you're also going to notice one side will be relatively easy compared to the other side. So how do we stop all that wobbling about? We connect. We try and connect in the centre, in the core. So maybe spread the fingers and the thumbs apart. Have the little fingers touching the hip bones, the thumbs touching the rib cage wall. Elbows are up, or elbows can be in the floor if that helps you, or the hands down if that helps you more. And then we're trying to switch on that centre, keeping the natural curves. Not very stable today. One of those things that the more you do it, the better your brain will get at coping with it, working out which muscles to switch on. And the same with any balancing, the more you do it, the more you balance, the better you get at the balance. Great, so this is all feeling quite tame at the moment. So we've taken some knee folds. Let's just challenge, so we're going in this sort of forward frontal plane, if you like, forwards and backwards. Let's just take one knee out to the side. So I'm going to put my hands back down to the floor, just give me a bit of stability. So one knee is dropping out to the side. I'm trying to relax that leg in the hip socket, keeping the other leg still and the other leg foot pushing down, keeping the pelvis stable. Sometimes what happens is The leg that's meant to be stabilising will counterbalance by going out to the side a little bit more. Keep it really in line with your hips, and then let that other leg really relax. So maybe checking that your hips aren't moving from side to side, aren't rocking and rolling, aren't using that curve. So this is relatively easy again because we've got the feet on the floor. Let's take the arms up to the ceiling and then make a nice rounded curve, like a ballet curve. And we're opening those arms out and bringing index finger back together, middle finger, sorry, index finger, longer finger, opening out and coming back up. So shoulders, getting that nice stretch in the chest. And then let's hold the arms up, let's keep them rounded. Take one arm out to the side and bring it back, and then the other arm out to the side and bring it back. All the while keeping the rib cage drawn down, chin tucked in, pushing down through those feet. Great, let's go opposite arm and leg. So I'm going to take one arm out to the side, the opposite leg out to the side. Just letting the knee drop out to the side. Maintaining balance. It's quite strong. So I'm keeping my foot fairly still. I'm not letting the ankle collapse too much. I'm rolling onto the outside edge of my foot. Great, let's bring hands down to the floor. Let's lift the legs up in the air. So we're in a double knee fold up to the ceiling with those legs. Take a moment to find and adjust that new position for your pelvis especially. Make sure you're still in a neutral position, so you have pushed that lower back down. Imprint if you need to, but try and stay in a neutral. And then let's take a toe tap and lift up, alternating. Toe tap to the floor, lifting back up. Again, we are absolutely staying switched on in that centre. Legs are staying in the same angle. Oopsie. My excuse is I had my hand on my tummy then. So what I mean by that is you're not bending the knee, bending the leg at the knee, so just letting that foot drop down. You're equally not straightening the leg when you lower. Keeping the right angle at the knees. From there, let's try and open one leg out to the side. Much harder now. It won't go very far. Hands nice and wide. Notice the extra pressure into the same side. It's just the balance, that's absolutely fine. Trying to keep the pelvis fairly stable. So let's go. One arm up, one arm down. Let's draw the one knee in a little bit and now extend along. I've got my other hand on the floor. My back hand is on the floor. Extending away. Drawing in and extending. All of this challenging our core, our centre, and that pelvic stability. Last one there. I'm going to put that hand down, take the other arm up. Again, you might find, oh yes, that your second side is not so good. So you'll naturally do your stronger side, you'll naturally be drawn to your stronger side initially. And quite often we don't even realise it when we're doing this sort of thing because it's so different to everyday life. In everyday life you would automatically choose your natural side. In this sort of stressful situation for the brain, if you like, and the coordination. Again, you're going to initially choose your stronger side. Stretching away and coming back and placing arm back down, legs back down, and just taking a little moment there. Brilliant. Okay, let's take some let's have the feet down. Let's take the hands at the back of the head, and let's think about an abdominal curl on the roller. So elbows are quite forwards, hands interlace at the back of the head, elbows forwards, and I'm just clearing my shoulder blades and lowering. The same rules apply, apart from my pelvis is not overly stable anymore. But this is relatively easy. Have a little check, as I just did then. So as I came up and my head was up, I could see I was slightly twisted. So one hip, lifted up a tiny bit more than the other one. All the rules apply, the normal rules. No pushing the chin onto the chest. No change in that lower back. If I keep going without the hands at the back of the head, there's no change here, there's no change here. Great, and then I'm coming off. Brilliant. We're going to roll off gently onto the side, so come off a bit onto your side, and then just move the roller away. Don't forget, we are coming back to it, absolutely. I just want you to feel this wonderful marshmallow moment when you first take that roller away, and it feels like your spine has sort of melted, and that's partly the deep tissue massage side of things, of just being on that surface. So just take a moment to allow that. So especially my upper back feels very soft and sort of malleable and really nice. I feel like my bottom's disappeared. Fortunately it hasn't, but there we go. So we're going to put the roller now underneath our ankles. So sitting yourself up. So really quite comfortably, hopefully, underneath your ankles. That lovely dip at the back of your heels. And then we're going to take a roll down. So at some point we will be rolling back up again. So let's do it properly. Let's have a little warm up while we're here. So sitting up really nice and tall, and then tucking under with that pelvis and rolling all the way down. And I just need to shuffle the roll a little bit. So make sure the backs of your legs, your heels are really relaxed over that edge of that roller, and it should feel quite nice. Check the rest of your spine out in a wonderful neutral, hopefully. And while we're here, let's just take a moment to relax. Just think about shoulders, ribs, pelvis, everything in its good position. And then, in fact, let's take the hands at the back of the head, so just to lift your head up and have a little look at your feet. So hip width apart. We're going to flex the feet. We're going to turn them out in the hip socket. We're going to point the feet and we're going to bring them back to parallel. So flexing, turning out, pointing and parallel. Flexing, turn out, point and parallel. We're going to take the 100 in this position. So we're almost in the correct position, apart from we're not going to have the hands at the back of the head. If you can, we're going to try and do those feet at the same time. So let's tuck the chin in, reach the arms forwards towards the roller, clear your shoulder blades. Pelvis is in neutral, hips are nice and level, shoulder blade tips are cleared, only by 1 centimetre. We're going to be pulsing the arms, 5 for a breath in, 5 for a breath out. I'm going to try and do my feet and talk you through it all at the same time. Here we go. So we've got breath in, 2, 3, 4, 5 and out, 2, 3, 4, 10, in, 2, 3, 4, 15, in, 3, 4, 20, in, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, in, 3, 4, 30, 40, I think, and turn out and flex and in and flex, parallel and point, 10 more I reckon, and flex and lift and there, and yes, I'm really not sure about that. That was maybe a bit too ambitious. Counting, breathing, doing the feet, yeah, a bit ambitious that one, Mandy. Okay, so we're going to take, we're going to roll the roller in and out with our legs, which is, I quite like. It just gives you that little bit of, you've got to set your torso. Let's have the hands at the back of the head actually and elbows forwards, and again come up to what I call comfy position. So shoulder blades are just touching the floor, pretty much so that you can see what's going on. So shoulder blades touching the floor, head is totally supported, no stress on the neck, and you're just going to bend the knees and roll the roller into your tiptoes and then roll, so through the feet. You can't allow your legs to be really heavy on the roller because it will sort of get caught up. This is working really well with my mat underneath today, but I've done this in the studios before where the floor's a little bit slippy and so the roller starts to slide. So you've got to have the legs just slightly lifted off, and actually when I go to start the movement I'm just thinking about just hovering my legs on, so I'm not full weight of the legs on the roller, and that's me set. I'm set in my core, and then I can roll all the way in, pointing the toes, and then rolling all the way out. Let's take a couple more of those. So I'm working hard, setting the core all the way through. Just nice even breathing. And then let's keep one leg straight and slightly lifted and draw the other leg in 5 times. Keeping the hips level. One more I think. Good, lowering that first leg, lifting the other leg, and here we go, 5 times. Two more. Great job. Okay, again using the roller, legs are slightly lifted. Let's come back to that turned out position where we were just doing, and hopefully you can quite comfortably slide the legs apart, and then let's point the feet to bring the heels together. So legs are fully turned out. Again, I'm supporting my head in my hands, I'm in comfy position. If you wanted to work much harder, clear those shoulder blades. Let's take 10 of these. Open the legs, and let's go the other way actually. Flex the feet to draw the heels in. Point the feet, open out, flex to draw in. Let's do 5 of each. 3, 2 more. 4, 5. Keep the feet flexed, opening out, point the feet to come in. 5, and 4, and 3. Clear those shoulder blades if you can. 2, have lost the feet, and 1. Staying up if you can, keep those legs turned out. Little lifts off of the roller. Keeping the hips totally level, no rocking and rolling from side to side. Four more. 3, 2, and 1. And relax. Brilliant. Okay, we're going to take a full roll up. So let's put those ankles, the backs of your ankles resting nicely over the roller again. We're going to stretch the arms away. So if you're really good at roll ups, you could probably take your arms nice and slowly and reach them forwards and then roll up. But I can't even demonstrate and show you that one. So because I'm going to have to cheat a little bit. I'm going to throw my arms initially to start. So arms are above my head. I'm going to tuck my chin in and come to here. Yeah. So So we're rounded with that back, we're reaching all the way forwards, and then when I get my shoulders over my hips, I'm going to sit as tall as possible, maybe look up towards the ceiling, roll that roller away a little bit more, and then I'm going to round my back. I'm reaching my arms forwards as a counterbalance. Maybe don't roll, and then taking the arms over. So that second time now, my brain has sort of understood what I'm after, and it's saying, okay, yeah, we've got this, we can go a little bit slower, we don't need to be quite so crazy with that initial throwing of the arms. But maybe you do, and that's absolutely fine. So rounding to lift up, breath out, breath in at the top, breath out. Let's maybe take those, bring the legs in as we did earlier. So as I'm taking, and I brought my arms up the side of my body then, so stretch the arms out. And then I'm going to roll the legs away to sit up tall with straight legs. And then rounding and drawing in. And extending. Lifting up. 2 more of these. Rounding to come back. And let's make this the last one, all the way down, and stretch those legs away. Brilliant. Okay, we're going to be sitting up with the roller underneath our thighs. So, in fact, let's sit on top of it first of all. So all the way up on top of it, and let's have the legs reasonably wide. Sit right up on your sit bones. So my legs are as wide as my yoga mat. I'm sitting up as tall as I possibly can, and I just want you to take in fact, maybe bend your knees a little bit. Find wherever you're comfortable. Just take a little pelvic tilt and bring your pelvis back into neutral. Or I'm trying to roll over the tops of where your hamstrings join your pelvis. So right at the very top. Yeah, actually I'm finding it's more of I'm staying in a neutral pelvis. I'm straightening my legs and rolling back. But equally, you can be tucked under and then sit tall. Tuck under and sit tall. I'm rocking my mat up. Great. So thinking along the lines of, so we're now using the roller for its massage benefits. So let's take the hands behind you if you can. Fingertips out to the sides or wherever is comfortable really for you. And I'm just going to lift my feet off and allow my body, and in fact, because I've got quite a long body and just my proportions, it feels more comfortable for me initially to come up on my fist here, just so I'm creating a bit of space. And I just want you to roll the backs of your thighs, your hamstrings along the roller and then forward. So you're scooping your tummy in. Hopefully this feels okay. So this is the sort of thing you would do if you were using the roller purely for massaging your muscles, stretching everything out, getting that deep tissue connection. So for me this feels okay. You might want to play around a little bit with the position of your legs. If you go more to the outside edge, and especially if you were to go onto one side, and you might have been shown this before, so now this is a whole different thing. So this is coming onto your side and working down that side seam of your leggings, or of your leg actually, from the hip to just above the knee. It's called your IT band, and it's a very fibrous, sinewy part of our musculature. It's like it hasn't really got any give, and so yeah, this is why it's really uncomfortable, and it doesn't really ever feel much better. Feels better once you've released it a bit doing this. So I'm going to roll over to the other side. In fact, I'm going to stay facing you. You can roll over to the other side, or I'm just going to go onto the other side. It's good to just be able to move yourself around on this roller. Oh yeah. So I haven't actually done this for a long time. This doesn't feel too bad for me. I've done it before when it's felt really, really awful. It might also be the fact that I'm using a bigger roller. So generally in my classes I will use the smaller rollers, and I think that's probably a little bit more uncomfortable. The reason being, you've got more surface area to work with this one. So you're sort of spreading out the pain a little bit. And if this really doesn't suit you and it's really horribly uncomfortable, then just don't do it. It really isn't for everyone. So what I was saying before, when we were doing the hamstrings, so let's see if we can turn that into a little bit of an upper body strength movement by taking a sort of like a bit of a pike as you swing through. So where I'm quite flexible in my hamstrings and this doesn't bother me, is what I was trying to say. If you're stressed about the stretch on the hamstrings and that's enough for you, then just stay there. If you can though, keep those legs straight and try and sweep through with your hips. So I'm tucking my pelvis under, drawing my abdominals in. Obviously quite a strong bit of work is going on. See what I mean about my length of my arms or my body or something like that. So I'm going to go for the fist to give me a bit more height. So you could maybe do this on a couple of blocks if you had one. We're getting into the realms of having loads of equipment now, but just a little bit of height with those arms, which will help you to clear. There, okay, great, brilliant. We are going to lie down on our backs and we're going to place the roller. So the roller is going to stay in this position in relationship to your body. I'm going to place the roller underneath the pelvis. So when we're doing this next bit, you need to make sure, hopefully, that you can circle your arms and your legs all the way around to the side without hitting anything. So you don't want to injure yourself. So, up you come. Again, similar to earlier on, just find your position where your pelvis is in the middle, and then maybe, oh actually no, I'm going to cancel that. Sorry, lie down, have the roller underneath your knees, that's better. That's the one, Mandy, that was very scary, rolling back from there. Okay, so we're underneath, your hips are down on the floor. And then you're going to lift your hips up. That's much easier. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Okay, so I'm going to roll forwards a little bit. Take a moment to just find that middle position. So you don't want to be here. You don't want to be right in your lower back because that's going to make you flare the ribs and just feel really uncomfortable. You equally don't want to be so far back here that you feel like the roller's going to pop out at any stage. And I sort of pushed it a bit then, but you know what I mean. So, and hopefully it'll be quite comfortable for you to just lightly hang on to the end of the roller for a bit of extra stability. So if you think about this position, although you've got your hips lifted, your torso is in a pretty good neutral. So hips are level, pelvis is being supported by the roller. And then from there we're just going to lift one leg and then lift the other leg into the knee fold position. So just hold this here a moment, take a moment or two to check that your shoulders, collarbone nice and relaxed. And then we are here. So let's just take some ankle circles while we're resting a moment. So thinking about this neutral position, the knees are directly above the hips so that your pelvis is in neutral. as opposed to those knees being, if you bring your knees in, actually do this for me, tuck your knees in towards your shoulders, you'll feel your lower back rounding out. We're not after that position, we really are after neutral, so make sure you're comfortable. Should be about there. Okay, so let's take those toe taps down to the floor and back up again. Down to the floor and back up again. So notice now the height of the hip makes a difference, does for me anyway, because I'm tight in the front of my hips. Makes a difference on those stretches, the stretch at the front of your hip. Let's take one leg down, doesn't matter which, and then straighten it along the floor. And if you're not tight in your hip flexors, your foot might be touching the floor, but I'm tight as anything there. And then I'm going to just hug the other knee in. And actually this feels nice to just circle both feet at the ankles. And breathe. Good. And then we're going to try and straighten the top leg. Straighten it all the way up to the ceiling and then bend. So if you try not to hold behind the knee, if the knee is bent, you can hold it behind the knee as long as it's nice and straight. Try and hold the thigh still and then lengthen the other part of the leg away. Now I'm just going to let that underneath leg, the leg that's on the floor, I'm going to let that leg bend. So hopefully increasing this stretch here. All the way up to the ceiling. And then I'm going to keep that leg straight. I'm going to try and hold onto it a little bit higher up and just ease it in towards me. While I'm there, I'm going to flex and point. In fact, let's flex and point both feet. Wonderful. Let's swap sides. So, hugging the knee in, holding behind the back of the knee first of all. Take some circles on the ankle. So I'm just going to let that other leg, that long leg, relax a little bit, getting a stretch on my hip flexors, and then I'm stretching this leg up towards the ceiling. Good, I'm going to flex and point both feet, easing that top straight leg towards me a little bit. And breathing. Wonderful. Let's bring both legs up in the air, nice and straight. Let's draw a capital D. So feet are directly above your hips. Make sure you don't feel like you're going to roll away with the roller, and hands holding on to the ends of it if that feels good. A capital D. So let's just scissor the legs, small scissors, forwards and backwards. Yeah. Keeping the feet pointed, keeping the insteps nice and parallel, so there's no turnout here. So all of this work could be done with ankle weights, which would be amazing. But I didn't put mine on today because I didn't want to add an extra piece of equipment. But if you've got some ankle weights, this would really make a big difference. Let's turn the legs out. In fact, let's do that movement that we did earlier on. So let's flex the feet, turn out, point the toes, come back to parallel. Flex, turn out, point and parallel. Reverse it. Turn out, flex, parallel and point. Turn out, flex, parallel and point. Turn out, flex, parallel and point. Fantastic. I'm going to bend one leg into a knee fold and just hold it there while I circle the other leg. In fact, no, I'm not. I'm going to place that foot down on the floor. So the leg I'm not using, I'm going to place it down on the floor. And then that helps me actually to stabilise a little bit more. Part of the reason I put that leg down as well was so that I couldn't cross over this leg too much. past my centre line with that leg being in the way in the air. So this, I'm drawing a nice big circle across my midline, keeping the foot pointed, about 5 in each direction. Check that the hips are staying level with each other, nice and still, no rocking and rolling going on. I'm sort of keeping the circle within my shoulder width-ish, maybe a little bit bigger. I'm going to put that foot down, swap over to the other side. So going across, so here's my centre, here's opposite my hip, I'm going across my midline, out, round, trying to draw a fairly even circle, sort of around this hip bone, making sure the other leg and hip especially stays still. About 5 in each direction. Feel all that lovely work going on in your obliques and in your torso, just keeping you still. Brilliant. Okay, let's come up to the top again. So both legs are up. So we're going to draw that capital D. One leg's going to go forwards, one leg's going to go back. You're going to circle round and then come back together. And let's do 4 in the same direction. So same leg forward, same leg away from you. Semicircle round. So these are like 2 capital D's back to back. Circle round and there. And now change direction. One more. Great, let's just switch the legs. Beautiful straight legs. Let those hips really open up. You can imagine with this, with just a ½ kilogram ankle weight on each ankle, it is fabulous workout for the legs. Good, we're going to take this whole movement into a great big cycling. Whoa, hold on, she says. There. I don't know what sort of cycling that was. Or bicycle, I should say. So we're trying to split the legs and then we're drawing that knee in as much as you can towards the shoulder. Going forwards. And now let's reverse and reverse. Extending that leg all the way along the floor if you can, keeping it straight till you get that split again, all the way up to the top. Wonderful. All the way up to the top again. Feet above your hips, turning the legs out. We're going to go point, point, crisscross, flex to open, and criss-cross, flex to open, criss-cross, flex to open, criss-cross and flex. Try and put, sorry I can't do the same and talk, try and put a different foot in front each time for your crisscross. So taking the right leg in front, then the left leg in front. And last one. Holding that there. Brilliant. Okay. Just finishing off on here. Cross one ankle over your other knee. So I've used my back leg, the leg that's furthest away from the screen, and I've just crossed it over my knee. Both legs are in the air, and then we're going to literally do this. So keep the legs in that position and just massage your buttocks and your hips. You might just need to wriggle around a little bit. Feels like the roller was going to roll away from me a bit then. That actually feels quite nice. Oh, and there you go. So take a circle with the legs. My hip is clunking quite a bit as I'm rolling around. Both directions, if you're doing the circle. Wonderful. Swap legs over, got the other ankle across the knee. So initially I just went from side to side. And then I discovered that to actually roll around and circle apart from the fact the roller's rolling away feels really nice. I'm hanging on to the roller a little bit more just to keep it secure really. And then once you know the roller's not going to roll away, you can sort of position your body slightly differently. Both directions with these circles. Fantastic. Lifting the hips up, rolling the roller away. And again, oh, you've got that lovely marshmallow moment on the hips when they come back down to the floor. And that should feel quite nice. Great, let's sit ourselves up. So let's look at a little bit of upper body strengthening and conditioning. By taking the arms, the hands onto the roller. So they're directly underneath your shoulders. Spreading the fingers and thumbs far apart. Make sure that your shoulders are really nicely over the roller so that it's not going to roll forwards and backwards, but you've just got this little bit of movement which is going to be really good for your stability. Knees are underneath the hips to start with, and then we're going to straighten out one leg and straighten out the other leg. You might just want to stay here. So we're just in the plank, it's already quite tough. If you can, let's add on for leg pull front, so you are just going to point one foot and then replace it, lifting the leg a tiny bit, but not much. The goal is to keep the hips absolutely still, shoulders absolutely still, back of head and neck lifted. Good, let's add on to this if you can and or you want to. Bring the knee into the same side elbow or lower towards the wrist, actually mine's coming in, and then return. Keeping your back in its natural curve. So what I mean by that is don't go all collapsed, don't tuck under with that pelvis, hinge at the hip, draw the knee in. So this is same side. When I take my feet back, I'm taking them together, but that doesn't make, I don't know whether that makes too much difference. You might want to go a little bit wider. And then we're going to go, last set, opposite, whoo, elbow to knee. Now I'm really working hard to keep my shoulders still. Keeping my head facing forwards in the centre, but I'm allowing ribs, hips, waist to twist. 4 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1, and 1 more, and take a well-deserved rest back, toes together, knees really wide. This is a lovely thing for the roller, and it's going to feel really nice on those wrists as well. So rolling all the way out, maybe as you come back in, itsy bitsy spine, the roller in towards your knees, unravel your spine. In fact, let's come up to a kneeling position. Drive the hips forwards, try and open out the front of the hips. So the roller is into touching your knees now. And then take your roll down again without letting that bottom go back too early. Fingertips to the roller. Start to roll it away. Then when you need to, send the butt back towards the heels. Stretch your arms away with your hands nice and flat on the roller, and then slide and roll. And now, stay out there. I call this rolling pastry. So I'm rolling the roller on my arms from my elbows to my palms. Hips are nice and high. I'm able to push the chest down, getting a wonderful stretch in the chest. When I take my hips back, I'm tucking under a little bit. And then let's do one more. Itsy bitsy, roll the spider. Itsy bitsy spider, roll the roller into your knees again. And then kneel up, drive those hips forwards and lift the chest. One more. Rolling down. Take it out. This time stay there. So the roller is just underneath my wrist, my lower arms. I'm going to go really nice and wide, almost as wide as the roller itself, and just use this lovely opportunity to be slightly elevated with my chest as I sway from side to side. And as you do this, just maybe turn your head towards the direction you're going in. Turn your nose towards, allow the shoulders to rotate around, and then reverse it. Take the back of your head towards the arm you're going to. Turn the head, take the back of the head. This feels slightly odd when you first start to do it, but then it feels quite nice, and it always reminds me of when your cat, not that I have cats, but I have dogs, but when your cat really wants its dinner and it wraps itself around your leg. So wrap the back of your head around the inside of your arm. And then just think about that, what's going on in the legs as well, the hips. Just allow your knees to roll from side to side, the shins to roll from side to side. Feel that nice movement in the hip joint. And coming up from there. Wonderful. We've got one more strong one here. So, yeah, just on all fours. So actually, no, maybe I won't do that today. Let's do a nice sideways kneeling, sideways seated mermaid stretch. So I'm just going to turn my mat this way. So coming to sit in the mermaid, or the Z stretch, some people like to call it. So I've got my front leg in line with my mat. The other leg is at a right angle. I'm going to put the roller over on this side, and this can be done without the roller. We're basically going to roll the roller away and take a side bend. Now for me this is quite strong on this is my bad shoulder. So I'm going to take it a little bit easy on this side, go for it a little bit more on the other side. But you don't necessarily need to use the roller for the side bend if you don't want to. You could just put that hand down on the floor. The thing we're trying to achieve, and it's not so much for this bit, for the thing that we're going to do after this, it's just using the beauty of using the roller is this ability to move it and just to get a little bit more out of your stretch. So in fact, let's do this to start with. While I was talking, I'm sort of warming myself up for the movement anyway. So you want to be as sideways as possible. So the side seam and the top ribs are getting a lovely stretch. Keeping this underneath arm quite nice and straight. And I quite like to start with my hand flat, and then I rotate around so my palm ends up reaching on top. So I'm basically doing that with the hand as I roll out. So let's add the arm in, over to the side and then coming up. Great, a couple more if you can. So if this is too much on this shoulder, and it is hard work on this shoulder, ignore the roller and just bend that arm. So I would stretch the roller away quite a bit, stretch the arm out quite a bit. Maybe just come down onto that elbow, and then you're taking the stress off of that shoulder. Good, same sort of thing, So we're going to roll over to the side, and do have the hand on the roller this time, but then we're going to turn, so you're really sideways on, square onto the roller. So I'm trying to get my shoulders to be facing this end of my mat and square onto the edge of the roller. Then from here, and this hip will come up a little bit, but that's absolutely fine. From here, roll the roller out and lift your chest. So this reminds me of an exercise we do, the Mermaid, that we do on the reformer machine. And it's really nice just to get that lovely length in the chest, getting that rotation in the spine, and again utilising the movement of the roller. Wonderful. Let's swap everything over to the other side. So, because we're not perfectly symmetrical, this side might be more comfortable to you. It's definitely going to be more comfortable on my shoulder, I know that for a fact, but my hips feel a little bit tighter in this position on this side. Just, go with it a little bit. So let's just warm up that shoulder. I'm going to hit my footstool thing. And this is as much about this underneath side, which is why it affects that shoulder, as it is about getting the stretch on the top side. So starting to add the arm in if you can. When you're coming back to upright, really draw down this side of your waist to come back to upright. So we are over to the side, keeping the arms straight. Strong work. So if that's too much, roll the roller away. Just come down onto that elbow. So if you're coming down onto that elbow and you're not even using the roller, really try and push the ribs up to the ceiling. Lengthen away. And again, use the sides of your body to go over and to bring you up. Fantastic. Let's finish off with that mermaid stretch. So we're over to the side but not too far. Turn your shoulders. So hands are on the roller. It's really square. Try to get your shoulders round to the side of the room. Your arms are quite straight, and they stay quite straight for this. And then you're rollering out and coming up again. Rollering out, coming up, rollering out. Brilliant. Okay, I just wanted to finish off with one more thing, which is basically the stretchy thing again. Again, we could do a whole load of exercises in this position, but this is just really nice to get that thoracic spine mobilised. I feel like we've done most of the things today. So just the roller across your chest, just below your shoulder blades, head supported in the hands, and then from here you're just going to lift your hips up. So this is the same as the IT band stretching that we were doing, where you were just getting yourself in the right position and moving. So you don't want to come too low with that roller. Remember, in this middle section, in the sort of small of your back, there's nothing to really support it. So no lower than just below your shoulder blades. Play about with the position of your elbows. If you bring your elbows in, you're going to contact certain muscles. If you really let your elbows go out, you're going to be targeting slightly different ones. Go slightly over to the side. So as long as you're supporting your head in your hands, it shouldn't be uncomfortable in your neck. Make sure your feet aren't going to slip anywhere. Roll around that shoulder blade. Play about with the position of your body and also the position of your limbs. It will make a difference. And then let's just finish off just opening up that chest. So drop your hips down, keeping the head supported. Let your ribs and upper back go all the way back. And I can't actually touch the floor at the moment, or can if I just extend my fingertips. And then maybe come up again. So that might be too much for you. You might just want to be a little bit lower, further away from the roller, so that there's not as far to go to reach the floor. And I'm not going to reach the floor here because my back isn't that flexible, but that's absolutely fine. But I'm enjoying that. That feels a little bit more supported. If I'm here and I'm going all the way over, it's like, ooh, okay, that's really quite strong. But just relax. Let it go. Let those ribs flare at the front. Maybe let those elbows open out, or keep them in. Keep your head a little bit more supported. Whatever works for you. And as always, if it feels really uncomfortable, don't do it. Just stick to something else. Maybe just have a little lie down on your back and a relaxation, and focus in on that. And well done. I hope you enjoyed a large foam roller class with me today. Please give me some comments about whether you enjoyed it or not, and any other types of exercises you would like to be doing. And I will look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.